Alright, thank you for downloading the first episode of As We See It, where we dismember society one topic at a time. I'm Sam, here with my brother Greg.
Hey Sam, how's it going?
I'm a little upset with people on their cell phones.
Aeromobile is debuting a car that within seconds can transform into a plane. The plane version has many of the same features of a normal plane and has been tested under real flight conditions, including a baby that never stops crying inexplicably because there is no back seat. The capacity of the plane is 2, or 1 American. The car can take off and transform into a plane and begin flight at only 81 miles per hour, which means you could look forward to being passed on the freeway overhead by some douche who doesn't even signal when he merges 2 spots ahead.
Earlier this week, Tesla said the only thing between them and a deal in New Jersey was Governor Christ Christie. Elon Musk, the inventor of the Tesla car, has been struggling for a long time trying to improve the range of the vehicle on its electric battery. No better way to prove its range than trying to get around a guy like Governor Christ Christie. Fortunately, later in the week, Governor Christie said he supports the sales of Tesla. Unfortunately, his aides don't. Your car may be zero emission, but it doesn't matter when you're trying to cross a closed bridge in New Jersey. Tesla is considering changing their slogan pending the signature of this bill. Hey, people in Jersey like us.
Another celebrity this week has a sex tape out. This time it's Randy Quaid. But unlike other sex tapes where you want to watch it, this one you really don't. Not only is there autoerotic asphyxiation, as well as masks of Rupert Murdoch, but there's just general disgustingness as Randy Quaid attempts to pleasure his wife, Evie Quaid. Now the bad news is, if you try and watch this video, you get a virus. Not a computer virus, but herpes.
That's gotta be the worst celebrity sex video ever.
And I imagine the climax looks oddly like the scene from Independence Day where Randy Quaid flies into the alien mothership.
Speaking of the movies, all I can imagine when he's having sex on tape is going, "Hey Clark, shitter's full."
And to top it all off, he mentions and uses a GoPro camera. And this just in, shares in GoPro have plummeted.
GoPro. When you're gonna record something nobody should see. Starbucks is now asking their baristas to write "race together" on the side of the customers' cups in an effort to engage them in discussions about racial equality. One would have to try to wonder what CEO of Starbucks would come up with the idea, "You know what I think our chain needs is our college-educated baristas," or lack thereof, to engage customers in racially charged ideas.
Well, Greg, I don't know about you, but I like my coffee like I like my racial discussions. Black and awkward.
Sam, don't you mean African American and awkward?
Well, I think what you're going to be hearing now is, would you like room for cream with your coffee? How about a shot of white guilt?
Earlier this week, Microsoft announced they will be releasing Windows 10, available this summer. The release will include 190 countries and 111 languages. One could only argue that Windows is the biggest operating system in the world. But what Windows is saying is they will allow customers to upgrade for free to Windows 10. These customers would include people who have Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Windows Phone 8.1, as well as any of the non-genuine Windows products. They say that they're going to release Windows this summer, but most users will find that they won't even be able to use Windows 10 till fall because Windows will take 3 months to load.
Windows 10 will be available in 111 languages, but sadly none of the tech support is in English.
When I first heard of Windows 10, I thought to myself, did I miss something? But when I did some research, I found that Windows 9 tested real well with consumers. Thus, Microsoft is skipping right to Windows 10.
And Microsoft is indeed allowing free upgrades for the first year, but they are also allowing for everyone who gets this free upgrade, free downgrades for life.
It's funny you mention that. One of the first hot fixes of this Windows will be downgrading back to Windows 7.
But Microsoft is planning to sync Windows 10 with Xbox One. Windows 10 has software problems, and Xbox One has hardware problems. Together, they are two halves of a total fuck-up.
Microsoft felt that consumers were too smart to upgrade to Windows 8. Thusly, that's why they decided to skip Windows 9 altogether and offer you Windows 10.
This episode of As We See It is definitely not sponsored by Blackberry. Actually, Blackberry wanted to sponsor us, and they even offered to give us phones, at which point we had to say no.
Blackberry is currently working on a time-traveling app to travel back to 1998, when Blackberries were still relevant and popular.
And we wanted to help Blackberry out by coming up with some slogans that they could use to appeal to the current audience.
Blackberry, who needs an app store? Or apps?
Blackberry, you can play the snake game on our phones.
Blackberry, who wants to stand in line and wait for a good phone?
Blackberry, our phones have the MySpace app. On As We See It, we don't like to talk about politics, but we like our brother to talk about politics.
And that's the best way to talk about politics.
And so it's time for Alex on Politics. All right, we have Alex on the line. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent. Well, our topic is Hillary Clinton and her use of personal emails and what effects it might have on her upcoming presidential bid. So, first question, Alex. What would be the best email service for Hillary Clinton to use?
I think the best email service for her to use is Gmail. I feel like Gmail is the one and only email. It supplies Google email, so it's the best email.
So you're saying the email is mainly based on the Google service of quality and stealing all your personal information, as they tend to do with anything now for free.
Right.
Oh, excellent. I mean, that does kind of make it open public knowledge in a way. Just right. Google's public.
So, Alex, how do you think this will affect Hillary Clinton's presidential bid?
I think it'll affect it positively, because releasing your emails is a big thing. It's like saying, hey, I have nothing to hide. If our other candidates don't release an email, they'll be saying, like, I do have something to hide. So,
do you think at any point during the questioning they'll say, what is your email? And she will argue over the definition of is?
No, I don't think she will. I think she'll probably have to defend some of her emails, but I don't think it'll ever come up in a presidential debate. I think it'll just be like out there already.
So what do you think her opponents will say about it?
I think our opponents will try to find little details in her emails about it. They might even point at the fact that she used some of it for personal, but for the most part, I think it's not going to affect her negatively.
Do you feel Fox News will look through her emails and completely take them out of context and misquote them?
Of course they will. They've done this plenty of times with other things. However, like I said, it's been out there. I think they won't have a good shot at it. It's not going to affect her that much. It's just going to look fine.
What do you think is more available to public use, Bill Clinton or Hillary's emails?
I don't know.
Because Bill Clinton's out there.
Right.
Okay.
I think this just makes her... It just shows that, she doesn't care that much about what her emails say. It's not going to affect her, so...
So, Alex, how do you start an email to Hillary Clinton?
I think you have to address her by her last title, whatever it be. Maybe put the former part in it, so former Secretary of State. Either that, or you could even use her old title of First Lady.
If it were me and I was writing an email to Hillary Clinton, I would definitely put the title at the top, Dear Sir or Ma'am.
Right. I could see that, she hasn't been she's very independent. She doesn't show that she's more feminine. But on a side note, then, will she be more masculine? Will Bill Clinton be more feminine because he's going to be the First Lady or First Man?
I'm sure he would be concerned with who the First Lady may be at the time.
Right.
Hey, honey, you happen to have one of those First Ladies around?
In that case, I don't think addressing Hillary Clinton by First Lady is appropriate, because I'm sure there were several others before.
And after.
And possibly during.
And there will be again.
All right, Alex. Thank you for illuminating us.
Okay.
Bye, Alex.
Bye.
On this episode of As We See It, we're going to discuss people on their cell phones. And our guest for this episode is Joe Neely.
Joe Neely is a good friend of mine. He's also a native Oregonian and a union construction worker. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Good, how you guys doing?
We're doing excellent.
Well, I gotta say, it's one thing when people use their cell phones, but it's another thing when they start talking the same way they text. I was in Starbucks, and I was listening to the conversation between the two, I am sure, well-educated baristas, and one of them used the phrase, my face when, which is commonly abbreviated MFW, and is usually followed by a picture of some crazy face, like the guy from the scream painting, and this really is starting to bug me.
Why does that bug you, Sam? I mean, people are feeling more in tune with their cell phones and their digital life, being it's just an option and a tool they have to be more social.
But they're not being social. They're interacting with some weird personality. They have these little fakey lives they put up on Facebook. I mean, Joe, how much of your Facebook is actually like you? Like, how much of Joe is on Facebook?
Oh, there's tons of me on Facebook, but it's all related to the cell phone.
Right. And you sort of, you use your cell phone sort of like as, oh, this is me. This is who I am. But that's not true, right?
Right. No, it's not you at all.
So, anyways, Sam, it almost seems as if you're trying to say people use social media as a yardstick for life.
Yeah, and that really, really bugs me. Like, oh, I got lots of likes. People must like me. No, people give you likes because they pity you, or they're like, haha, that kind of makes me laugh. I guess I can afford to click a button. That's okay with me. And that's the thing. You see like these big social movements where people change their profile pictures, but you have to ask yourself, are the powers that be going, everyone's changing their profile picture. It's time to take action, I guess.
Well, I don't know so much about that. I mean, I don't really have any Facebook or much for any social media. I did have a Twitter, or I should say I do have a Twitter. I abandoned it for several years because I just thought, hey man, Twitter, I'll use it to enter some contests, win some free stuff. Then I thought, I might actually have something to say other people might want to hear.
Might want to hear. Or you could be like everyone else on Facebook and leave cryptic messages. Today was a terrible day. And then people always comment, what happened? It was just the worst. Who gives a shit? Say it or get the fuck off Facebook. What do you think, Joe?
I would have to agree with that. But another good thing about using social media is people will like you. Little do they know, you haven't changed your underwear in 3 weeks, and you just poured yourself a third bowl of cereal.
My favorite is when you actually do pour that third bowl of cereal. That third bowl usually involves liquid, not milk. You're like, what do I have left? Because I'm running out of milk. Yeah, I've got all these Cheerios.
Yeah. And as you stare at your bowl full of barren Cheerios, you wonder what came of your life. And then you take a picture of it, hashtag YOLO. But in reality, your life, I mean, yeah, you only live once. So why don't you just make it the most terrible life possible, right? Or am I missing the point of YOLO?
No. YOLO is actually, I think, now becoming an excuse people like to use. Oh, I'm going to do something stupid that nobody's really going to appreciate me doing. YOLO!
Saw an old lady crossing the street. Decide to decorate my grill. YOLO! What do you think, Joe? What's a YOLO moment for you?
You know, I just recently looked it up on the internet, and YOLO is Latin for stupid decision.
That is actually probably the most I can attune to it, because I like to play poker. I was in the poker rooms recently. Poker players have come up with a lot of ways to describe somebody's plays, including that of a donkey. But now it's almost as if those donkeys fight back with that famous YOLO. Like, I know I shouldn't be playing this hand, but YOLO!
YOLO! But you know what really gets me about YOLO? It's always something stupid, as we've been talking about. No one's, oh, I'm volunteering to help feed orphans in Africa. YOLO!
I went to college, and now I run a successful organization. YOLO!
Right. It's always like, I decided to put bacon in my ice cream and feed it to my dog. YOLO! Or something stupid. I mean, people, and that's the other thing about social media. We pull off these stunts, and then we put it on Facebook, and we get lots of likes, and it reinforces like, hey, I'm doing something good for society. When in reality, you're just making a jackass of yourself.
So in other words, Randy Quaid sex tape, you're thinking the social media world would have approved of it had he put YOLO after it, but still not acceptable in normal world life.
Yes, but I don't think even if he said YOLO, if there was anyone who would watch it and think, boy, I made a great decision just now.
Maybe they too would yell YOLO.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about people using their cell phones in a careless fashion, but let's also talk about using your cell phone in a more positive fashion, because you sometimes do have to take the good with the bad. I'm going to go ahead and start with, I believe some criminal cases have actually benefited by putting the criminal behind bars because they were able to use their cell phone to take a picture, possibly even help somebody in need by posting the picture right away, getting that message out to others as this person needs to be apprehended or observed at that point, which they need to be picked up by police. Sam?
So that's true. You're a lot closer to taking videos and pictures and other things that may help the police. But there's also a preponderance of people not doing anything except taking pictures or video as people are put into peril.
And then posting them to YouTube as these people are now going to be manhandled by this guy.
Right.
And this is going to be funny enough for us all to watch. And again, that's good with the bad. Joe, do you feel like a large portion of society is using their cell phone in a positive or a negative manner?
I would say very positive. Cell phone use is a very positive thing that we can look forward to using in the future, especially living in Portland. Bicycle watch is a very important subject right now, and with the use of Instagram, I can take a picture from my car of that asshole in front of me who thinks he's a car and report it to the world. It's a safety issue, and we must promote cell phone use.
This bicycle watch, if I'm understanding correctly, we're talking about a bicycle who's hindering actual drivers on the roadway, and you're going to take a picture of him and let everybody else know he's now being a hindrance in this society.
Absolutely. This asshole right in the middle of the lane where cars are supposed to go, he thinks he's a car. He needs help.
My favorite, talking about the bicyclists on the roadway, is there are many roadways around this area of the country that are actually outlined for bicycle use. Those bicycle lanes, of course, do have to abide with traffic lights and other traffic signals like stop signs, railroad crossings, etc. But I've also noticed that a lot of these bicyclists will take the bicycle lane to said intersection, then use the crosswalk as their own personal way to go across without having to wait at these more inconveniences to motorists. Is that what you're observing?
That is what I'm observing, and keeping with the topic of cell phones, that's a bunch of BS because you're supposed to stop at the lights and give yourself enough time to catch up on text messages and Facebook postings and that YouTube video your friend showed you. And if you're walking across the crosswalk with your bicycle, you're cutting out a lot of valuable cell phone time.
So you're saying enough drivers are responsible enough to wait till the point in traffic in which they're stopped to use their cell phone, but that actually owning and operating a bicycle could be more of a distraction on the roadway than somebody using their phone.
Absolutely, I agree.
This is actually, I think, a pretty interesting revelation. I don't exactly always see people on bikes. I live in a pretty lazy community, so we're definitely all going to be motorists, except for the poor that you see walking by to try to get on the train. But again, they're only walking to another mode of transportation to take them from point A to point B, because a bike isn't going to cut it.
So I actually live in a community of rather elderly people, and the use of their cell phone is relegated mostly to trying to figure out how it works while they enjoy their morning coffee at McDonald's. And usually this is them tapping at the phone, lifting up their glasses, pulling back, grumbling to himself about how it's not doing what they want, tapping their phone again, putting it down, and saying, "Those young people and their phones." Have you guys had any experience with elderly folk and their cell phones?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing's more frustrating than ordering a Egg McMuffin at McDonald's and hearing that old person behind you tapping away on the phone and Siri's responding, "Look, Bill, I don't understand what you're asking. Try again." And the old man is just getting frustrated because maybe old people shouldn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be Jitterbug needs to come back out with the big button phone. Maybe Blackberry can team up with them, and we won't have to worry about these problems anymore.
I think Jitterbug combined with Siri would be a powerful tool for old people. Think about it. They could just say to their phone, "Call my nephew. Call my nephew."
I think you're going to then come up with the problem is Siri's going to ask him which nephew, and that old lady is going to be like, "Oh dear, I don't remember his name."
He has that wife. Well, she's one of those colored folk. I like her, but she's just.
So what you're saying is maybe if Siri were getting to be more proficient, where you could describe who is in their relationships, because I do know Siri would call my mom if I'm driving down the road and I need to call my mom. I could say, "Siri, call my mom," and it automatically knows who my mom is because I've already declared that to Siri. So if you declare to Siri that LaQuanda is James's wife, Siri should have the ability to go down the list and say, "Oh, do you mean James, who's married to LaQuanda?"
But you're making a pretty big jump there. That she would be able to do that with her phone. Like, I don't even have my contacts set up on my phone like that. Now you're asking an elderly person to do that.
I definitely can see that basically it's kind of like a cell phone and the egg situation.
Right.
Do we give them the cell phones and let them have at them, or do we simply just take the cell phone away and hopefully life will work itself out for them?
Joe, what age should be the cutoff for using social media on your cell phone?
Well, if you ask my kids, of course, they're going to say 18 and over. They don't think parents should have phones, grandmas shouldn't have phones. It's a youth movement that should only be the YOLO generation. But personally, I think since I'm in my mid-30s, I think maybe 45. Let's cut it off at 45. After that, you turn in your smartphone. You either get downgraded to a Blackberry, or if maybe you're getting into your 60s and 70s, and you get the Jitterbug. And after that, you just get, I don't know, a piece of cardboard with buttons drawn on it.
There are some people who probably currently use the cardboard with buttons drawn on it.
Right. Let's not discount we're in Portland here.
I was about saying, if you don't believe me, go downtown. You will find somebody holding a piece of cardboard that they're not exactly sure how it works.
And now it's time for 5 apps that need to be written for people addicted to their phones. Watch out! This app will have your camera look out for oncoming objects and people and things, such as fountains that you're about to trip into, and alert you by shocking you.
I've got one, the Battery Extender Pro. This extends the battery life by randomly turning your phone off and not allowing you to turn it back on. It's in development, but the developers are still fixing a few minor bugs.
And this is an app for people like me, the Desperate app. It alerts you that other people near you too afraid to ask you out without Facebook. Now it loads their Facebook on your phone via Bluetooth, and then tells you to sack up and go ask them out.
I think following that app, we definitely need to go with an app called My STDs. It matches you with people in the area with the same STDs, so you know they can't give you something you don't already have. It also eliminates that awkward after sex moment when you're thinking to yourself, did I just get another STD?
What's that burning? Oh boy.
Or how about this one? Feed the dog. It sends you a reminder to feed your dog. Simple enough. Or after the app runs 3 times without acknowledgement, it reminds you to bury your dog.
So now it's time to end the show where we pay tribute to our favorite candy bar in the Twix pick-a-side debate. Today's topic, should we be so dependent on smartphones?
Well, I'm going to, of course, start this one with pro. Because I feel one of the pros in a smartphone is it's easier to lie via text message.
But, Greg, I don't need a brick in my pocket to lie to people.
As much as that might be, how about this? Pro. Bitches be on Facebook.
Well, I'll tell you this. They're not already drunk, and you can't have sex over Facebook.
What about ugly and annoying people are 25% more tolerable when handled through social media?
That's true. However, I could simply avoid said annoying and ugly people.
Okay. Me, like many of my fellow Americans, we pay our bills and pay for items using our phone, like with the handy Amazon.com mobile app or my bank's mobile bill pay.
Okay. Without a huge phone bill, I can actually afford to pay bills and not get repossessed.
What about pro? You use your phone to stay in contact with the information superhighway.
Well, in my experience, your phone generally leads you to crashing on the regular old highway.
You could also use your phone to keep pictures of your loved ones.
Well, people addicted to their phones really don't have loved ones. Really just only tolerated ones.
I'm sure we can go on and on about whether there's pros and cons to this debate. But, Joe, what do you think? Pro or con?
Well, the question being, should we be so dependent on smartphones? I'm going to side with pro. Local municipalities generate revenue by busting people behind the wheel using their cell phones, thus alleviating the burden on their taxpayers.
And there you have it. Tell us what you think and let us know on our Twitter at As We See It Show or on our Facebook page.
All right, that'll do it for the first episode of the As We See It Show. Big thanks to our guest Joe Neely, and if you like what you heard, share us with your friends. Come to our Facebook page, drop a comment, like us. We really want you to like us. We have an Instagram, and on Twitter, we are at As We See It Show. This is Sam signing off, and until next time,
Don't you go dying on me!
oh no!